Hello, friends. There is a question that many people ask themselves when their children start growing up, become teenagers, adults. Should we help adult children, for example, at the age of 18 to 20? Buying an apartment, a first car, and so on. Or should we limit ourselves to helping them get an education? As they said in that famous parable about the fish and the fishing rod. It is generally accepted that it is better to give a person a fishing rod, and not a ready-made fish, that is, to give a tool, and not ready-made benefits. And in principle, this is absolutely logical, this is the right narrative. However, as always happens in such cases, the most logical solution is not always the right one. Dear viewers of this channel, let's reflect on this seemingly simple question. I will express my point of view, and you may want to write your opinion in the comments under this video. So my answer to this question sounds something like this: it is definitely necessary. If possible, it is worth giving your grown-up children a certain basic level of well-being, to provide a foundation for their future well-being. When it comes to buying an apartment or helping them rent it, of course, every apartment is different. There is a big difference, a modest one-room apartment to start with, and there is a luxurious 5-room apartment or a huge house, a mansion worth a fortune. The same applies to a car or any other material goods. Perhaps, this opinion will seem seditious to you, deviating from the general modern autonomous model, but I will express the following thought: it is very important to provide for your children, including adult children, to provide them with a certain basic income at the start of their professional activities. At the very least, help with getting an education, getting that very fishing rod for fishing in the future. If possible, then help with renting or buying a modest first home. This will provide your child with a certain starting freedom, autonomy. In this way, they will be able to get some time to understand what they want to do in life. And this will be their competitive advantage in comparison with the children of those who will not have such basic well-being. For this, children must have basic things: food, clothing, housing. That is, their basic needs must be met. Only then will a young person be able to raise his head, look around and understand what he should do. Sometimes it is even useful to waste a year or two, make a number of your own mistakes in order to finally find the thing that will be to your liking and what will feed your child for the rest of his life. The period of separation from parents in different countries occurs differently. For example, in Eastern philosophy and in the Eastern tradition, it is customary to live either under the same roof or close to parents, to help them. The Western, European tradition is the opposite: separation and complete autonomy. A person turns 18 or 21, the period of majority, go free, and the family almost completely stops all financial assistance. Capitalism provides for the principle, everyone for himself, complete autonomy of adults. But the best option, in my opinion, is something in between: moderate separation while maintaining a connection with your parents, spiritual relationships and mutual assistance. In addition, with such a family model, it is desirable to help a young person acquire their first home, provide some basic material level. This is not done to protect children from all the difficulties in life, so that the child does not start low-skilled work, lives comfortably. No, any work is good and any honest work commands respect. There is nothing wrong with difficulties and trials. But in order to provide some time and human resources, starting help is needed, so that there is time to weigh and plan something more grandiose, to realize your talent at a higher level than if this help were not there. It is very important at the start of your career, to have a good rear, protection and confidence in the future. By the way, this is what formed the basis of my own life. My parents also helped me with the acquisition of my first home, my first apartment, back when I was still a student. And if it helped solve key problems at the early stage of my development as an adult. That is, it ultimately allowed me to engage in science, continue my education and development, predetermine the course of my future career. Moreover, this applies not only to career growth, but also to business. The first few years after any business starts, the entrepreneur's income is usually either very small or completely absent. In addition, during this period, starting support in the form of, albeit small, albeit modest, but own housing is important. Thus, having basic support from your family, from close and dear people is very, very important in a person's life. In addition, we should envy those children and those parents who can afford it, provide children with such a start in the form of not having to think about rent payments at first, think about where to live. Another thing is how to raise children so that they value such support and do not turn into dependents. In addition, for this, a certain balance of assistance is necessary. It is worth helping exactly as much as is needed, as much as is enough. Excess is as bad as deficiency. When we shower our children with luxury items and overprotect them. I think you are familiar with such stories from people's lives, and nothing good usually comes of such children. All these are extremes. You do not need to give children a Ferrari, Lamborghini, and luxurious big houses, because when a child has everything, he is in complete comfort and he no longer wants to achieve anything. I once heard a phrase from a friend of mine that sounded like this: to be successful in business or in a career, there must be a slight feeling of discomfort, but not hunger. The feeling of hunger, on the contrary, can sometimes play a cruel joke on a person. When we think about nothing but thoughts about making money, we lose our appetite for creativity, creative thoughts and desires go away. The desire to work, to be creative is possible only in the case of some slight discomfort, so that there is something to strive for, something to comprehend. Some parents may object, what other apartment should they buy? I will not give my children anything. I myself suffered once, let my children suffer too, go through this whole thorny path. Moreover, in this, it seems to me, there is also a misconception and even a share of deceit. You see, leaving your child a small modest apartment, a starter home, you even stimulate him to independence, in a sense, instill in him a sense of responsibility. After all, your child will still have to pay taxes for this apartment, pay for utilities every month, and one way or another, he will still have to move, work, he will not sit still. On the other hand, by not providing your child with separate housing, you even push him to a later separation. After all, many people are comfortable living in their parents' house, with everything ready, until it is too late. However, your own apartment obliges you to grow up a little earlier, to think about creating your own separate life, a separate family, unit of society. You will say, children can be stupid. Will they drink away, squander this property, sell and squander it all? My answer, yes, of course, this can happen, especially if the children received a bad upbringing, but even with such a bad scenario, it will still be their life, and in this case their own mistakes will hurt only them. This is not a reason not to give children the right to make their own mistakes. Of course, everything is strictly individual and there is no unambiguous, single recipe for all people. Such reasoning, friends, such an opinion, I hope they made you think. Subscribe to this channel. Thank you for your attention and see you soon.